Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Madeline. I am a pattern designer, and on this channel I really just like to talk to you about all the things that I have been working on. I created a previous video talking all about my spring summer sewing plans, and this is just a follow-up. I plan to do these every few weeks. It's been a little bit longer than a few weeks just because I have been busy releasing other sewing patterns, but I thought it would be time to catch you up on some of the things that I've been making and talk to you a little bit about this. It's kind of a podcast style format, so you should be able to just sit down, and if you're sewing or if you're knitting or doing whatever craft that you like to do, you should be able to listen to this while I am talking. I will be including photos of everything as best as I can. I've also got them with me and I will show you what I made, but I don't know if I'll be able to show you perfectly, so I will show you what I have and then pop up some videos on the screens. And I will also try to make sure I include the designer, if it's not me, and where the fabric's from, all of that information, because I personally love watching these kinds of videos so much. In fact, I find that I'm finding more of these videos for knitting, but I am primarily a sewist. If there are more videos out there about sewing, let me know, because I feel like I'm not finding them and I would love to watch those. So this is what I am doing because I'm trying to fill that need, because I'm constantly looking for more people to find out what they're sewing outside of just Instagram. Anyway, I thought it would be fun to share with you everything I've made. Let's go ahead and start with, should we start with this? We'll start with it. It's the silliest thing. So this is everything I've made since I made that last video. And this was just honestly the funnest project, and it's so silly. So these are little like stick horses. They got little eyelashes and mouths, and I just used some old trim. These were for my daughter's birthday. She is obsessed with princesses and all sorts of things. So she had never had a birthday party before, and she's 5, and so she had been begging for a birthday party. So we planned a little party for a couple of her friends, and she really wanted it princess themed, but I felt like we needed more. She also really enjoys the books, The Princess in Black. And so we really embraced The Princess in Black, because The Princess in Black is a superhero who fights off monsters and sends them back to Monsterland. So she rides on a horse, so my girls needed to ride on a horse. And I actually made 9 of these for all of the party guests as favors, because I am not a big like send off a bunch of candy at the end of a birthday party. And it ended up costing like $25 to make all of them, which is a little bit more, and it took me like a day to sew them. But honestly, to see them running around the house having horsey races was worth it. That's not something I typically sew, but it was so fun, and it was a great scrap buster because these were all fabrics that I had previously used. So it was just all scrap fabric and then trim that I've been collecting for like a decade. I really just had to buy the polyfill, which I wish I could have used scrap fabric. I just didn't have time to like chop it up, and I didn't have enough. And then I bought these dowels, which were like $1.20 each. So that was a really, really fun project. My daughters really enjoyed making them with me. And I've had a few requests for a pattern, so I may turn this into a sewing pattern. Let me know what you guys think. It was so easy, but so satisfying. So anyway, starting with something different, because I normally make clothes, but just had to share. The next thing that I have, I'm going to show you backwards because it looks the same front and back, but the front has yogurt on it, and I forgot to wash it before this video. So this is a like sweatshirt pattern I have been working on. I made this pattern, I'm now calling the Pearson Pullover. I was calling it the Dale Sweatshirt, but I forgot that I think it's Matchy Matchy Sewing Club. Might not be Matchy Matchy. Anyway, another company actually has the name Dale Sweatshirt already being used. It's my grandpa's name, but instead I'll use his last name, Pearson, and do the Pearson Pullover. This is just a simple hoodie that I made a few years ago. I drafted it on paper. Like, what was I thinking? And so I was just testing it out on that paper pattern to see if it was ready to be digitized. It was wrong. So this is it. It's just like a huge oversized sweatshirt, and it has these gathered cuffs. This is my favorite part of the pattern, are these gathered cuffs. And it's just like so comfy. Like you said, this is backwards, but it looks the same front and back. And it's a little cropped. I have been living in this. I actually really also love this color on me. And so I wish I would have bought more of this fabric. But I think I'm gonna move forward with this pattern, but I am gonna create a second view with a different neckline and potentially not like statement collar, but like polo collar. Stay tuned on that. But I'm really quite happy with this sample, apart from, like I said, there were some errors with the armhole. And so I have a little bit of like, what do you call that? It's pulling because the armhole was a little bit too big for the sleeve. And at that point, I just was doing the best I could with what I had. And that being said, I still wear it all the time, but I would not move forward with a pattern like that. I would need to fix the armhole. Super simple fix, which I will be doing. So that is on my to-do list in the next little while, because this pattern is just really easy, really beginner friendly, and it's one of those things that you just wear all the time. So really like that. Really happy with how it turned out. Oh, I just realized I forgot to mention fabrics. Really quick. So this is French Terry from Lyrical Fabrics. This was in their drop that they had this spring. I don't know if they still have this color. I'll put the name up on the screen and I'll link it in my description if they still have it. I love Lyrical Fabrics and their knit fabrics. It's kind of become my go-to if I want any knit fabrics. This one is fabulous because it's not too heavy. They had a summer drop last year of French Terries, which I also love and I've used, but the loops on the back were a lot bigger, whereas the loops right here are very flat. And so it's got a great structure, but it's also just really comfy. I found that French Terry is like my go-to knit fabric because I prefer thicker knits that don't cling to my skin and that are a little bit more hefty and boxy. I think that's just my personal style and my personal fit preferences, because I just don't like clingy things. So like I don't like jerseys. Although I did buy some of their pointelle, which is meant to be a little tighter. I'm curious to see if I like it. I think the fabric is gorgeous, but I'm curious to see how I wear it. All right, if you watched my last video, you'll know that there was a blouse that I've been wanting to work on. I made one last year, I believe it was in September or October. And I made it because there's this blouse that Doan designed that I just kept seeing over and over again. And I was like, I just want to make myself one. Made it for myself. There was quite a bit of interest, but I had so many other patterns that I was developing at the time that just wasn't the top priority. So then this summer, I was hoping to try it again with a little bit of a different construction for myself mostly, but then also with the possibility of doing it as a pattern, because I really don't want to like just be copying in any way. And then one of my friends at Me and Kiddo Tattoo, she's amazing. She also started designing this pattern and we talked about it, and then we saw another designer started to work on it, and we're kind of like, I don't know. So I don't know if I'll release this as a pattern, but I made it for myself and it's great. But this is the blouse. It is just a raglan style, and it has, I did lace, and then I did the bias binding just on the inside, which I have not seen anybody do. So yes, I've seen two other designers creating this raglan poof styled blouse, but they both have way different construction. So anyway, I don't want to be making stuff that's already out in the market because that seems like a waste of my time. And I have seen people been hacking the picnic set by Kate Naughton, which is a fabulous pattern from what I've heard, but you have to hack it. So I was like, oh, well, people keep asking for a pattern like this. I see it all the time, people looking for a pattern. When I posted about it, I had so many people be like, where's the pattern? But I also don't want to release a pattern that other people are releasing, even though it's completely different construction. Like I said, the other people are doing like neck facings and all sorts of different things like that, and this is hidden bias binding with the option of adding in lace. You can kind of see right there. So like that's not the binding, that is lace right there. And then the binding is all on the inside. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with this one of like, it's on timeout because although I think it's basically perfect and I'm really loving it and I'm loving wearing it, I don't know if I'll move forward with it as a pattern. All right, so the fabric on this is a 100% linen gingham. The gingham is just gorgeous. You can kind of see that in the light. And the trim is just, I had it, I think I bought it, I thrifted it, I believe. Don't sleep on thrifting. But this linen is from the Linen Lab. Absolutely love this fabric and I can't recommend it enough. I made a Zamora skirt out of this fabric and I don't think I like them together, I'm not gonna lie, but I liked it so much, I bought it twice. That good. All right, this project is a Beth blouse. So I released the Beth blouse, I think it's been a month now, and you guys have loved it. I cannot thank you enough for how much love you have given this pattern, but this was the sample that I made for the video tutorial. You do kind of miss that ruffle right there because the pattern is so busy, but I needed something that had a right and a wrong side for the tutorial, and I really love how it turned out. It is a quilting cotton, which I generally don't sew garments with, but I've actually really loved it, and I think this print is really cute. So this is my Beth blouse with the short sleeves. It also has long sleeves as an option, and then this ruffle detail is optional. Really like how this turned out. It's always nice because a lot of my samples are made as toiles. Like I'll be working on a pattern and I'll make wearable toiles, and so I rarely get the final, more than one of the final product. But with this blouse, I made 2 of the final product. So that was really exciting. My white version is the final pattern and this one is the final pattern. And so that was really exciting. Oh, and I have the striped long sleeve version. So I have 3 Beth blouses that are like the final pattern, fits correctly, everything is perfect. I really like this. This fabric is from Joann, so it is no longer available. And I'm sorry, but honestly, I'll see if I can link a similar fabric. I almost bought a fabric from Blackbird Fabrics earlier in the year, and it was very similar, but I was a little over on my budget, and so I didn't end up ordering that one. It was a crinkle cotton, and honestly, I think I would have liked it a little bit more if I had bought that than the quilting cotton, but when Joann was closing and I saw this and it was on super sale, I grabbed it and no regrets. All right, another sew I do not have with me. This is a gift sew. My sister, for her birthday, I made her a romper. So let's rewind a little bit. A few years ago, I was in town and she really wanted me to design a romper for her. I didn't have my computer, and I was just self-drafting as much as I could based on her measurements. I only had enough time to draft it out on paper. We left, and then my mom sewed her this amazing hot pink romper. And it's so cute. She wears it all the time. It's like the #1 thing that she wears in the summer. And 2 years ago, when we moved here, she and I were shopping at Joann, and because she's a dog groomer, so she was getting fabric for the cute little bandanas that she puts on the doggies. And we found this really great, I think it's Eddie Bauer, brushed cotton. And she was like, will you make me this other romper that as the pink one in this fabric? And I was like, yeah, sure. And a year and a half later, I didn't do it. So I promised her for her birthday this year that I would make it. And it's now been 4 months. And then she was getting ready for her engagement photos. And she was like, can you have it done for my engagement? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I can. So I normally don't sew for other people, but with her, I was like, I gotta get this romper done for you. So I finally made this romper. It turned out really, really cute. This placket detail is not my strongest suit. I don't really like doing it, so I've pretty much avoided it most of my sewing career. And it showed because it was not perfect, but I think that it turned out so cute, and look at how beautiful her engagements turned out. So worth it, and that was a really, really great sew, and I'm happy that I could be a little bit a part of her special day. This one is a sewing pattern that I'm obsessed with. This is by my friend Nat by Neighborhood Patterns. she has just some adorable patterns. She has 3 out now. Her first one is a tote, which is an amazing tote. And then this is her second pattern. Her third one is also incredible. The block party pants. I have bought it, but I haven't made it yet. That's on my winter to sew list. But she has this pattern called the Plain Jane skirt, and it's this perfect A-line skirt. Plain Jane is the name, but it is anything but plain. It includes instructions for French inseam pockets. It has this drawstring, and the shape is just perfect. Like, when I think of influencer Pinterest girl, I think of this skirt. I have it in white, which feels even more Pinteresty girl, but I also really wanted a summer version. This is it kind of is showing a little bit more pink than it does in real life just because of the checks, but it's a bright red and off-white linen cotton nylon. So there's just a teeny bit of nylon in it, and it gives it a little bit of a seersucker effect. And it's not super lightweight. It's like a lower mid-weight. I really, really like it, especially for this skirt. I also have a really chunky hem. It's kind of hard to see, but the hem, comes all the way to here. And so it drapes beautifully. Once again, doesn't cling to my skin. And I just think that this pattern is like an A++, and I will be making them for the rest of my life because, like I said, I made a white one last summer because I was part of the testing group, and now I have this one. And Nat is my friend, but even if she wasn't my friend, I would say how much I love this pattern because it is just so good and just such a wardrobe staple. Okay, this is my last finished object, and then we'll talk a little bit about whips and plan. As I am filming this, I have a pattern that is currently in testing. And I think when I release this video, it still won't be released. I'm not releasing it until the end of July, all good things. So I made this. This is for the video tutorial because it has right and wrong sides. And this is my Delft dress. And the fabric, this is so exciting. So the fabric is designed by me. So at the beginning of this video, I said pattern designer and not just sewing pattern designer because I have started to design fabric. I'm so excited about it. I have a few collections. I have one that is in the works of being produced, and this fabric with some minor changes will be one of them. And so here it is. I couldn't be more in love. Green is my favorite color, and this green with the pink, and like I said, there are some minor changes, but like all of the details, like this is pretty much what it will look like. And this one I printed at Spoonflower just to get an idea for the scale and if there were things I wanted to alter. And I did it on their cotton seersucker. And so I pretty much immediately made the Delft dress. I highly recommend the seersucker, and you can kind of tell it's really a very subtle seersucker. This was a really fun finished object for me. I haven't actually even taken pictures of it yet. The only bummer is that you can't really see like the design details. I'll throw up another picture of what this dress looks like without a print, but it was perfect for the video tutorial because it has that right and wrong side. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this one because not only did I design the sewing pattern, but I designed the pattern on the fabric. That one feels really, really exciting. And I guess I probably should have started first with this, but let's talk about what I'm wearing. The Beth blouse pattern that I released last month, I am obsessed with it, I love it, but I've been wanting to make this blouse for like 2 years, maybe a year, and I almost hacked my Rosamond blouse because it has a big collar, and I was like, oh, I could hack the Rosamond blouse, but then I was like, oh, but then I have to change the neckline, I have to do all sorts of stuff, and it has buttons down the front, but it has roulé loops. Tell me if I'm saying that wrong. Roulé loops going down the front, and instead of like an overlap. Anyway, it was just gonna require a whole bunch of hacking. And then I was like, wait, but I know I'm gonna be making the Beth pattern eventually. So decided to wait until I finished Beth. Took some serious willpower to wait because I've had this fabric ready for a year, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I saw a Pinterest photo. I have no idea who originally designed this. I'll show you the photo. And I was like, I have the fabric, I have the pattern, I need to make it. So I turned this into a Beth blouse hack. I used all Beth pattern pieces, but I did have to change the collar. So I actually made an entire video about that. It's on my other channel, like my tutorial channel. And I included the free download of the collar. So if you want to get this collar, obviously you can grab that. I'll put that link in there. And you can make your own hack of the Beth blouse. The biggest feature is, you know, the scallops with the contrast, but this linen is gorgeous. This is 100% linen from the Linen Lab, and it's their jacquard. I've used this fabric a couple of times. It comes in 3 colors. I've used white, now the natural color, and they have like a light blue. I had my eyes on that one for a little while because they're just all beautiful, and it's just such a gorgeous texture. But it is 100% linen, so of course it wrinkles a bit, but I think it's worth it. It's light, it's airy, and I really love how this blouse turned out. I think it is probably, I don't know, can't see if it's my favorite make, but I was like so excited. We even tried to recreate the photo and we got it almost exact. Like, that's me. That's the Pinterest photo. So that was really exciting. So I might be the most proud of this one. I don't know. The Delft dress with my pattern design on it might also be the most proud moment. I don't know. But I've been doing a lot of sewing lately because I've been working on these patterns and I have so much more sewing to come. Let me go ahead and show you the things I have cut out and plan to sew next. Okay, so this is a work in progress that was a finished object, but it was a fail. So I was trying to hack my own pattern, the Madeline pants, into shorts, which is silly because I have a Madeline shorts pattern, but they're drafted a little bit differently. The shorts are a little fuller, they're more like boxer style. So I wanted some that were a little closer. And then, I don't know what I was thinking, but I wanted to reduce the rise a little bit because they're like quite high-waisted, which I love normally, but because of what I was doing, I was like, I just want to make them a little bit shorter. I made it too short and was getting all sorts of weird fit issues because why do that to myself? Anyway, and they're too long, and anyway, they're just a pair of shorts and they're really cute. They're also in this linen with a tad of nylon. It's a little bit different from the red gingham I showed earlier, also from the Linen Lab. Can you tell I really like their fabrics? But I think that these will be really cute once I fix them. I ended up just unpicking it, and I'm gonna use a thinner elastic so that the rise isn't quite such an issue because I was getting wedgies. So that is a whip, and like I said, I need to shorten these. They look comically long. I know that's kind of in style, but it was like not the right vibe. The next thing I have that I'm working on and I have all cut out is this. This is a cotton lawn from Blackbird Fabrics, and I really like this one. So I bought this specifically to make a Zamora skirt, and then I am knitting a Maggie cardigan by Petite Knit that is in the color Dusty Banana, and this has like little yellow flowers, and I just feel like this would be the prettiest outfit, the little Maggie cardigan with the Zamora skirt. I think it would be so classy. The only thing I need to do is, save $200 so I can get the matching shoes of the, banana-y, buttery, Aloha Mary Janes that have a grip hold on me. Maybe if I didn't buy fabric all the time, I could afford shoes. But I think that will be the cutest outfit. I wanted it for spring, and it will be probably fall by the time it's done, but that is okay. That is how sewing goes. So this is another one that I've talked about before, but it is my rated dress. This is a cotton voile, which is super, super lightweight, but because it's dark, I think it'll be opaque enough that'll be fine as a dress. And I do have a little left over so I could line it, but this will be a rated dress, and it will be a little bit hacked. I'll probably create a video on this one, and I'm going to be doing shirring along the neckline. View C of this blouse has like a smocked detail, but it's done with gathering stitches, and I want to do this with elastic thread and see how that works. I tried it once on thicker fabric. It did not work. So I'm trying it on the wall to see if that works better. And then the last one probably will be the last one I get to, but this is a pair of Jordan overalls, and I'm just making them as trousers because I'm trying to decide if I'd like to re-release them as just a trouser pattern, because they're such a good trouser, and I think that most people are just seeing overall. And this is a wool linen blend. I didn't know I could love a wool more, but you add linen to it and it's now my favorite. Once again, also from the Linen Lab. A lot of those were gifted. I did purchase a lot of them, but some of them were gifted, full transparency. I can't remember which is which at this point because I buy fabric from them often enough, and then they just include extra because I have an affiliate link with them. So if I don't include if it was gifted, just assume it was gifted, even though I have bought some. I do love their fabrics, or I wouldn't keep ordering from them or working with them and making a pattern with them because I absolutely love them. They're wonderful people. The Jordan overalls, that's like least priority, but I have it cut out. So those are some whips. And honestly, none of those are priorities. Those are just like for funsies. And I'm going back into pattern development because Delft is almost done for my next sewing pattern, the paper pants. So we'll see how much sewing time I get. But I have my whip bag ready to go, and yeah, it'll be really fun. I don't think I'm going to share acquisitions today because I'm embarrassed by how many acquisitions I have, but I have a lot of linen. So you'll see them in future makes. But as I've been designing fabric as well, I'm getting a lot of fabrics for that, and basically just really grateful for my job. Just really grateful. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and a very unusual sewing experience for me, but this was a really fun thing to make, and I am just truly in love with everything I made except for that pair of shorts. So you win some and you lose some. Got like 7 or 8 really great sews, 1 really bad sew, and 1 medium sew. The Pearson Pullover needs a little help in the arm side, but other than that, it was really great. So I hope that you will subscribe and hang out with me another time. I should be back in a few weeks with more sewing updates.